I had a lovely chat with Madeleine last week, and on our experience of going through the light, and then she suggested that we needed to get Clint on the show because he holds so much knowledge around the creationist stories, and so I'm just going to hand it straight over to you, Clint. Madeleine,
love it.
I that's just beautiful, yeah, Clint. And I think my viewers would be really annoyed if we didn't ask you what your connection was with the little people.
Me.
Yeah.
So I think it was around the time things started to get a little bit slower. Like I was getting humbugged every night. I think I'd spoken to Clint, and it might have been a couple of months after that, and I was in the toilet. And I know for those people that connect with spirit, they will understand this, but there was this presence around me, and I suddenly tuned into it, and I realized it had been with me quite a while, and I was sort of like, okay, and I was on the toilet, got to the toilet, and then I looked around, and it was almost like I saw it in the corner of my eye, but then when I looked, like, it wasn't there. But then I pressed my third eye to zone in, and I was expecting to see a taller figure. When you sort of I guess scan rooms, that's how I do it anyway, and you sort of pick up energy. It was sort of like there was something there, and then there was just this tiny little dude, and he was just standing there, like, I don't know, he was really funny. He was like, what do you want me to do? Like, he was sort of wanted to help me, and he was frustrated that I hadn't given him like a little job. And this was around the time, it was like April, I think maybe April, and I think I said, I was like, oh gosh, well, you can protect the front door. He can put a protection. Like, I don't know, I gave him some kind of job, and he was very happy then and twaddled off. And then I spoke with Clint because I was like, there's this small thing in my room, in my house, I don't know what he is. And then, Clint was able to explain to me a little bit more about them, which I'll hand over to Clint and he can share a little bit more. But then I was feeding him all these different things. I didn't have kangaroo. They like kangaroo, and I was giving him like dried plum. I don't think he was into that. But then I gave him another job, which was quite funny. I think some people probably laugh at this, but I was like, can you possibly go and see Scott Morrison and visit him in his sleep and activate his heart so that he's able to make decisions from his heart? Anyway, my little guy hasn't returned back since, and that was in April. And I kid you not, like, I have not noticed him around. We've moved house now. When I did a channeling earlier this year, the spirit that came through said that he had met up with some friends in the desert. I don't know. That was a message that came through, but he hasn't come back yet. So, but Clint might be able to explain a little bit more about them, because I don't know, I love them. They're so cute.
So Malango is the spirit that Maddie is referring to. They're like little people. There are male and female versions of them, and the male versions, both of them, they're very protective, but the female ones are super protective and very powerful actually. But the male ones are the most common ones that you see, and they're cheeky little spirits. They like to mess around with you sometimes, and they're little pranksters, They like to. Sometimes I'm laying in bed, and when my one comes and visits, he'll jump on top of me while I'm asleep and put the blanket over my head, and they like to really stir you up. But they're good. They're really good spirits, and they're protective, and they keep really bad things away from you, all the bad spirits. They've been around forever. So they were created, when I was talking about the Marga creating things, they were created by the Marga as like children spirits. And they're small because they're mostly meant to be spirits for kids. Because, when you're a kid, you probably all know this same sort of story. When you were young is when you picked up on your spiritual connection, from a really young age, and you started seeing things, and then you weren't just seeing good things. You might have been seeing bad things. So their job is to protect us kids during that time when they are awakening to their abilities. And the first thing a lot of the time the kids see is the malangu, and the malangu will look after them and protect them, but they'll also play with them. And so parents think that the kids have imaginary friends, but it's the little people, it's the malangu that they're playing with. So they're mostly attracted to children, but they protect everybody, and they'll always come to people who are in need. So Maddie was going through a tough time, and they saw that you were in need, or this little fella saw that you were in need, and that's when he came to you. And I like how you said that you saw it on the corner of your eye. So the corner of your eyes, your peripheral vision, is how you normally see things, but when you look at them straight forward, you don't see them. So why the reason that is, and this is just a anatomy thing, is your peripheral vision is built to see into the dark, help you see at night and all that sort of stuff, whereas your direct vision helps you see in the light, see. So it focuses the light, but you see in the dark here. So what that means is these spirits, they live and are more active in the dark, but they come out during the day too, but you can't see them with your normal vision. So a lot of the time, to let you know that they're there, they'll come into your peripheral vision, and you'll see them off to the side. But when you look at them, that's why a lot of people, they see something and they like, maybe it was just my imagination playing with me. It's not your imagination. You actually saw what you saw. But when you look there, you're like, nothing's there, because you can't see it with that front vision unless you use your third eye, your spiritual eye, we say. And that's when you activate it. It's like you put a visor on over your face, and you're like, now I can see you. But most people can't do that, see. So they see these things, and they see them because those little people, or whatever it happened to be, in this case it's the malangu. The malangu are there to tell you that I'm here, I know that you need help, what do you want me to do? And that's why I was asking you, what do you need me to do for you?
Yeah.
So you got to give them a job.
Yeah, I gave him
but
a
the
job.
girl ones, the girl ones, man, they are powerful, super powerful. Yeah, female ones. Nothing can. I've been a couple of years ago, a few years ago now. We went up to Darwin, me and my brother-in-laws and that, and we went up partying. We didn't do the right thing. We didn't go and see the traditional owners and ask for a welcome, but we went up just thinking, we'll do the Aussie thing. We'll go party and carry on, and have a good time. But eventually we got caught out, and there was this woman who is a living woman, who was spiritual. We say modern is a healer, but they also can use their abilities for no good. People would call her a witch, in the English language, but they're not always bad. But this woman was pretty bad, actually. So she tried to sing us. She tried to make us fall in love with her, but more specifically, my brother-in-law, and tried to take us and came and bothered us every day while we were there, and terrorizing us, going through the house in spirit form and opening and closing cupboards and fridges and banging around and everything. And we couldn't sleep, weren't able to sleep for days. And then she'd only come at night, so we had to leave. So we left Darwin. We came straight back to the Pilbara. We didn't no mucking around. We got back. I went and saw my pop, and he said, "I'll give you my girl." Talking about the little girl spirit. She'll protect you. Nothing will bother you. So I'm at home, and nothing would come and bother me. No, the spirit followed us all the way from Darwin, by the way, all the way back to here, 3,000 kilometers nearly, and was terrorizing the other guys who didn't have this little girl protecting them. But I had nothing bothering me, good sleep. The only time I didn't sleep was when I saw the little girl. But I'd be laying down and I'd see her down near my feet. And there was one time I fell asleep in the lounge. I must have been watching TV or something, and I fell asleep. And then it was dark. I was, about to get up, go in the room and have a rest. But as I woke up, I could see this figure of a small girl standing by my feet, staring at me, watching me. She gave me a little fright. And I woke up and I'm like, sometimes you're groggy, you don't know what you're seeing, when you wake up from sleep. I don't know, I thought I was just dreaming or whatever. And then I look and I'm like, oh no, she's actually there, standing right next to my feet. And I get up to try and talk to her, but she runs away. See her run, she runs down the hallway. And where the kitchen is, the hallway and the kitchen connected, she shuts the door behind her. So I walk into the kitchen area. And in the kitchen, where the kitchen area is, there's a separate lounge room, little area that's where I go when my mother-in-law visits, by the way. So that's why I got a separate lounge, because I can't talk to my mother-in-law. Anyways, went in there. My brother-in-law, who was the main one out of all of us, was being terrorized, because he came and stayed with me, because he told him, come stay with me and this thing might bother you, Anyways, I walk in there and I look at him and he's watching a movie. And he looks up at me, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me. And we're not talking to each other, sort of like reading each other's body language. And then he said to me, "What happened?" And I said, "Oh, nothing." And then he looked at me like, "No, what happened?" And I'm like, "You didn't see someone run past here, did you?" And he said, "Well, I saw a little girl run past." And I'm thinking, yeah. That's the little girl my pop left here to look after us." And he said, because he thought it was that woman trying to come. He just saw a person with long hair run past,
Yeah.
And, but I said, "No, it's all right. It's all good." But we both saw it, and it was a funny thing.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's just made me think, because there's so many spirits here in this town. When I was working at the Shire, there was a little girl. Everyone knew there was a little girl in the Shire, and I had felt her next to me. I don't know if she put her hand on me, or I just felt her warmth one time, and she told me she was here because she loved the children. She wanted to look after the children. And there was a woman, so I'm thinking maybe it's actually, because I was thinking it was a girl that had died, or a little girl that had died and had decided to go to this library. But there was a woman that was working there, and she would yell at the kids all the time, like when they were doing story time and they wouldn't be quiet, she would yell at them. And one time she was in the library. This is a story everyone that works at the Shire hears this. When she was there one time, she came back. She was in the library. She got shoved, and then she found, and then a book flew off the wall, or I don't know. One thing happened before the other, but she got shoved and a book fell off onto the floor, and the book was all about like murder and death and like a book to kind of scare her. And not long after that, I'm pretty sure she quit. But it was just so funny. And now I'm like, oh, it must be,
yeah. Because I reckon
one around.
Little girl.
Yeah.
So they're like their origin, the Malangu, is, well, they're like the children of the Marga, basically, because they were created by them, but they were created as little protectors to protect people, because they were bad spirits. And when the Marga left us, they knew we needed protecting from these bad spirits, and they left these little people with us to look after us. but we call them Malangu, as you know, but for the listeners.
Awesome. Can I share a story with you, Clint?
Yeah.
I put this on Uluru the other day. Uluru Speaks. I don't know if you can see like the man in that rock.
I can kind of see, yeah.
You can sort of see his eyes there and his arm, and he's like writing on a scroll, on a scroll, and he's that.
Yeah, yep.
His shoulder there.
Mm-hmm.
So quite just a beautiful rock. If I bring it back a bit, you might be able to see.
Yeah.
But very, very defined with his eyes, his nose, all of his features. I was on a property where I was walking up this hill, and I was going through a really hard time at the time. I was going through divorce and bankruptcy and homelessness, and I'd just been diagnosed with aggressive breast cancer, and so it was all at the same time. So it's, I got a really big Titanic ship. I walked up this hill, and it was a very steep, very, very steep hill, and I was walking up the gully with all my animals. They all follow me. I had kangaroos that I was looking after, and kangaroos and the dogs and the cats would all follow me up this gorge, and I would it was so steep I'd have to sit in the middle of this gorge and just taking the view, and all the animals just lay around me, and I just all of a sudden felt like someone was watching me, and I started sort of hearing whispers, and I looked down the ground, and there was this beautiful rock with this person in it. I'd sat right next to it. It was like woof, like straight out, and he sort of just told me he was like a scribe, and my life turned around. I mean, I'm not saying that was the only reason my life turned around, but I feel like sometimes we get this guidance or these spirits that come to us, and my life is thriving, and miracle after miracle sort of happened, and my life is I'm just have such a blessed life now, but I was stripped of just everything was taken from me, and I had to it was my surrender moment, my God moment, where I surrendered completely to God. But I just love that spirit came through the rock, because I'm so connected to rocks. I love rocks. Is that something that you can talk about more about those rocks, the spirits in the rocks?
I saw a spirit in the rock last night. I was out mud crabbing, but I see the same one all the time when I'm on my own. There's a place called Hyacinth's Cove. The place there behind me in my picture. I was out there. So when the tide goes out, I go mud crabbing, and this area. So actually, if you look, which side? I'm not good with my left hand. That rock.
Yeah.
That rock there.
So beautiful.
That rock there. Yeah. So that light-colored rock behind me is a marga being that stayed behind from the dream time, and stayed behind to look after people specifically at this place, but also stayed behind more specifically to look after and take care of women and children. Yeah. So his job was to protect people as like a sentinel. What do you call it? Yeah. So when you go to this beach, this cove, you feel really at ease. You feel really like you're protected. Well, you are, from a spiritual perspective. But anybody who goes there, everybody has a good time. They get this really good vibe, good energy from that place, and you feel welcome. That's the word I was thinking of. So I knew that this was a spirit, and there's a carving, rock art of him up on the hills there, behind me. Anyways, first time when I went out there at night, I went there mud crabbing, and it was dark, and I was with people, but I could feel this presence was there, but it wasn't like a bad presence. You can always tell when they're bad. But anyways, I thought, felt it on the day. I didn't tell anybody about it. Because most of the time, I try not to spook people, you know. So while we're out, don't want people getting scared. So another time I go out, but I go out on my own, and then I'm out there. Go out in the afternoon, and then it gets dark, and I'm getting like really into the mud crabbing, you know. I'm catching heaps of muddies, and then it's getting really dark, and I'm like, hey, I'm out here on my own. And I'm thinking, should I even be out here on my own at this time of the night? You know, what if a bad spirit comes along and I'll be buggered? You know, they might chase me or something or other. So I decided I'll go. So I took my mud crabs, started walking back. No one else was there. I was on my own, and then I just had this feeling to look at this hill, rocks, you know. And as soon as I turned to my left to look at it, I just saw this humongous face staring straight back at me in the stone, you know, big, gigantic head. And I was taken aback a little bit by it, but once I looked properly at it, and I was like, this is the spirit now, the spirit from this area watching me. But I had this feeling of ease, like it was basically saying to me, don't get scared, don't be worried. I'm just keeping an eye on you, making sure you're okay. Because I was on my own, you know. And then after that, I'll go back all the time mud crabbing on my own at night, because I know that spirit's always watching over me, looking at me. But I never told people that. I didn't show them that face, you know. And then one time I went out, and we were having a barbecue out there on the beach, and I brought my cousin out with me. And he hardly ever goes to there. A lot of my people don't like going there. They're scared because there used to be a massacre out there, so they're worried about all the spirits who died out there, you know, so they don't like going there. But I said, no, you'll be right. This place is really safe, you know. And we were just having a barbecue, having some drinks, and the next minute he taps me on the shoulder. We were sitting next to each other, and we call each other Ijara. Ijara meaning brothers in the law, where we went through initiation together. Hey, what happened? There's a man over there. Where? What you talking about? Can't you see? Big face looking straight at us. And he pointed at that same rock that I saw before, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I see him all the time. What? He's like, yeah, he's just keeping an eye on us. But he's looking straight at us. Like, yeah, it's your first time here. He's letting you know he's watching you, but in a good way, you know. So, because he didn't feel comfortable being there in the first place, and that man revealed himself to my cousin, but I think he just needed me to confirm what he had saw, and also told him what it was about, you know. And I said, no, this is your first time here. You're just keeping an eye on you, making sure you're right, because he know you was frightened to come out here in the first place, you know. And so that happens a lot. You'll see faces will reveal themselves in stone all the time, in many places. And sometimes you catch them on photograph, you know, unintentionally, or some people take photos of them on purpose, you know. But depending where you go, some faces are like very good, very friendly. Others are like there's a waterhole that I will not go to up near Madeleine's side of the country where she's living. And yeah, you know that thing you saw? That thing you saw? Well, one of them lives in this waterhole. But my cousin, his old man, they're at this place, and they took a photograph of it. Just ordinary photo, just because it's a beautiful waterhole, so they just took a picture of it. They got the photo developed. It's old, you know, old photos. Got home, put it in a frame to put it up on the wall to show how beautiful this place was. And then they started staring at it, like, what the hell? They grabbed the photo, so it's orientated in a portrait. They flipped it up. No, sorry, it was an orientated landscape, and flipped it up to a portrait mode. And the photo of the waterhole looked like the face of the devil. But it looked like one of that being that lives in that place. So it was a lot of Aboriginal people refer to them as hairy men. But we say bari. This thing is a bari. It's a demon. So they have horns on their heads and ugly face and all that. But that's what you could see. Yeah, you could see that in the photograph. But all it was a reflection of the water with the trees and the actual gorge. But when you flipped it sideways like that, it looked exactly like a face. And they lost it. They lost that photograph. But I remember seeing it. He showed me before. And it was scary to look at. It was like, yeah, no, I don't want to see that again. But they ended up losing it. Well, they didn't lose it. It disappeared one day. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes you'll see that type of thing, but most of the time you'll see maybe the people from that area, like who are of that place, and like this being, you know, this creation being was there, letting us know he's watching over us. But I saw him last night again, clear as like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like when I sat, I mean, of all the places I could sit, because this was like about a 450-meter rise from top to bottom that I was walking up, quite steep. And for all the places for me to sit, I'm sitting like right next to this rock and to stop and take a view. And then I hear it and feel it. And then I look and it's like, oh my gosh, there's this man sitting in the rock. And it was so profound. I mean, those sort of experiences are not unusual for me, being of the spirit world all my life. But I love if we're open to receiving these beautiful gifts and these beautiful connections, they're there for us. And I think that's the thing, is that the way I live and Madeleine live and how you live, to me, this is how we are meant to live as humans. And many of us have had that magic and that connection taken away from us. And, you know, people I've had to keep myself small and quiet. As I said, like Mel and I've only just really come out about many things recently about our experiences, because I felt like I made people feel so uncomfortable talking about them because it was so foreign and they would think I was weird. And now I've really, you know, I'm 53 and now I'm really embracing who I am. And Madeleine's a lot younger. Thank God you can do it now. Where I don't have to keep myself small anymore, and I don't care what people think anymore about I'm this weird person of the family that sees spirits and astral travels and visits planets and has out-of-body experiences and has multiple timeline parallel life experiences, or, you know, like my interdimensional experience is endless, you know, and I think that's what it really is to be human.
Yeah, that's the way we were intended to be. That's how the Maraga built us to be like that. And luckily for who I am and where I'm from, that's normal to be like that. You know, that's encouraged. That's, in fact, it's favored, you know, when you're like that. So you're not an outcast. If anything, you're like the special person in the family. They're like, oh yeah, that, if you want to know things, you got to go talk to that person, you know.
Yeah.
They'll tell you what you need to know. So it's embraced. Whereas where your background, you know, you know, from a European point of view, and I think it's got a lot to do with Romans bringing Christianity into Europe, persecuting that paganism, you know, that old ways of living off the land and spirituality. And, you know, they had the people branded as witches and killed them and all this and that over a period that made people feel afraid to express themselves, to show that part of themselves, you know, until modern day came along and people were no longer following those kind of ways, you know. I mean, I'm saying the mainstream started not to be like, you know, persecuting anymore.
Well, I think not persecuting us literally, but energetically, and so we've still been persecuted. You know, like I feel like all of these things want to take us away from our true history and our true knowledge and our true birthright and our true passage of how we walk this life, and so to keep us dumb and to keep us small, and then we can be controlled, and no one gets to ever really experience their full magnificence and the miracles, and to be able to tap into the field and know that the space between all of us is filled with so much information. And you know, so we might not get burnt at the stake, but we get burnt in other ways, like your reputation will get burnt, or your relationships with people will get burnt. So we're still, you know, I think more and more people are accepting this now, and I actually think right now in 2020 people are craving it. People are wanting to know, because they're starting to, their DNA is starting to be triggered, the light's coming in, and people are going, I'm getting these feelings. I've had a lot of people come to me saying, I've had to go see a psychiatrist because I started seeing these tall white beings, and that was freaking me out. And I was like, oh my God, no, don't do that. You know, this is your awakening.
Yeah. And yeah, like you're right. It's gotten easier over the last 50 years, you know, for everybody else, I suppose. Whereas my people, we never had that problem at all, you know. It's just was part of life, it's normal. But what I did find too, and like I was saying earlier, you know, I didn't tell people unless they really wanted to know, because I was like, people would think that, well, the way I was thinking about it was that they didn't believe in my culture, they didn't believe in my beliefs, they didn't share that same thing, so they think you're talking crap, you know. And so, well, if you don't want to hear it, I'm not going to tell you. So I was silent about it for a long time as well, you know, in my life, especially when I was working in the mining industry. And you know, but after leaving that industry, I started to meet more people who are like-minded, that want to know these sort of things, and people who come on tours with me. Most of the people who want to come on tours, they want to learn the history. They want to learn more about the land and all that, but and they're just average sort of Joes. Shouldn't even say that word, but they're just the typical people, you know. And then you get the odd person who's spiritual come on the tours, and they want to really dive deeper into the culture and the spirituality, and that makes it really worthwhile for me, because that's what I'm all about. You know, that's what my culture is all about, is to teach that side. So I feel like all the rest of them aren't ready for that yet, but there are others out there who are willing and keen, you know, and that's the people. As of late, more and more I'm starting to meet and connect with now. But before it was like, it wasn't, I don't know where all these people were, but now they're like they're all coming out of the woodwork.
Out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
There's another question, just because there seems to be something that floats around the internet quite a lot in part of the ascension and diet. And there's such a push for veganism and vegetarianism, or like, you know, all this way, and that you're only going to ascend if you're vegan, and like I don't really ever want to have judgment around what anyone eats and the ascension process. But from your culture, what would you, how do you see that?
We eat everything is edible. Maraga taught us that we get nutrients from kangaroo, from goanna, from emu, from many living animals, you know, as long as we don't take more than we need. And we have to eat them too, because some of these animals, I'm talking spiritually now, we've got to eat them, because some of these animals are reincarnated people. And the only way for them to be reincarnated back into people is to be eaten. And how that happens is a pregnant woman eats a particular animal, you know, so a kangaroo or whatever. The spirit of that animal jumps inside her womb. And then that baby is born. So the baby is like, it's more or less not so much a shell. It's still a living organism, but it gets this spirit of this person who's been around a few times, but they come back as an animal, then jumps inside the baby. They become an old soul, but they're born with traits or knowledge from the past. So they're like amalgamated with the soul from this animal, you know, in this case. But that animal was once a human in their past life. And why they become a human is because they didn't do enough in their previous life to go and ascend and be with their marga, you know. So the marga sent them back down and said, you still got a few things you need to achieve before you can come back up here and be with us. So you're going to be reborn as an animal, you know. They'll tell you when you're up there. But once you come back into this life, you don't remember none of that, you know. But then when you're born and you happen to be, when that animal is killed and their spirit jumps into the womb of a woman who is pregnant, and that baby is then born, they're born, first of all, with a birthmark. Birthmark reveals that they were, in fact, someone from another life previously. And then you will gain the traits also of that animal that you were, because that was your previous life before you became human. And then the elders read that and they're like, this person, this little person we got in front of us is going to be a very wise person when they get older. They're going to have knowledge beyond anybody else because they were reborn. They come with knowledge from the past, you know, and they come with teachings that we need to learn. So I'm saying to you vegans, you got to eat animals, even though you disagree with that. That goes against what you believe. But spiritually, this is what has to happen. Now, I definitely am against, you know, like mass producing, farming, and all that sort of stuff. That's unnatural. But I'm talking about eating natural things, like animals that come from the country, that live normal, natural lives, that aren't being farmed, you know, like your kangaroos, like your emus, goannas, your fish, you know, barramundi, all that sort of stuff, that live in the wild. These are the ones we're talking about, because that's the ones you get reborn as when you come back, the ones that are connected to nature.
Yeah, and I've sort of been, thank you, that's so beautiful, and I've sort of been of a similar philosophy. I had someone make a comment on one of my feeds yesterday about if we eat meat, we're really just housing a graveyard of animals. And I haven't responded yet to the comment, but I always try and be on the flip side of everything. And I think that you can take animals, the spirit of animals, and have the animal spirit live through you. And if you you bless your meat and you're grateful, and we don't eat very much meat at all, but the meat we do eat is it's local venison, because they have no predators here. And a friend of ours, he only hunts for what he needs, and he'll give a bit of venison, and that's the only meat we really eat, you know. So so I sort of feel like this deer is out of control, you know, and doing a lot of damage to the fauna and the flora and the natural habitat, so because it has no natural predators. So I think you know, and we also have a self-sustaining farm. We have chickens and we have goats, and we've got a veggie garden, and I feel like that's the way we've got to get back to being more sustainable, and not have all this judgment around what people do. And if you want to be vegan, and if you want to eat meat, I feel it's like the only thing I would say is try to be responsible in how you source that meat, and I sort of feel like I take more energy on from those animals and integrate that in me and the knowledge from the animal. So I don't feel like I have a graveyard. I feel like I have this beautiful resource and energy essence from the animal. Everything is a perspective of how you want to look at it.
Yeah, but definitely what you're saying is that energy you're getting from that animal is, because the animal is innocent, it's good, you know. So Yeah, and it's unfortunate how they get farmed and whatnot, but you're taking that energy into yourself and you're using it, and you're using it in a positive way too, you know, especially like how your lifestyle, my lifestyle, all that. But it was taught to us. We, you know, this is not us just going out surviving. It's connected to our spirituality. And and if you go and you, a vegan, you know, who has extreme views, are the ones who, you know, they're judgmental against people who eat meat. But I've found a lot of vegans aren't either, you know, like there's a lot of them who respect the choices that people make. But if you went and you walked up to an elder, right, Aboriginal elder, especially the women, don't muck around with the women, they'll tell you straight. They'll tell you straight out that you got to eat these things because that's what was given to us on this earth to nurture us and feed us and give us all the energy we need to be able to practice our law and culture, but also from a spiritual point of view that these animals are reborn people that have to be reincarnated because they didn't quite achieve the things that they needed to do in order to get into what some people refer to as heaven, but we say into Wanagorara, to be with the Marga, the creation beings. And the Marga tell us in that life, in that afterlife, saying, no, you didn't do everything you needed to do. You've got to go back because you're going to go back, but you're going to take some knowledge with you. But you also got to learn things along the way. And what it also does, it humbles you too, that experience. Because if you know you're reborn, you're like, oh, okay, right. So I've been reborn. I didn't quite do the things I needed to do. I've got to do more. I've got to actually have to start making a big difference in this life, you know?
Mm.
So that's me. I was a kangaroo in my past life, you know? And my family hadn't killed that kangaroo and my mother hadn't eaten it, I wouldn't be here now talking about all this stuff.
Mm.
So
yeah, I think it's not only animals that like I have this weird thing that happens. I was breeding horses for many years, and every pregnant mare, the spirit of the foal, it would visit me during the night and come and communicate, and often it would come in a different form. So sometimes it would tell me who it was. This, you know, I'm the spirit of, I'm in the belly or in the womb of this particular horse, pony, and it would come through either as a dragon. Sometimes it'd come through as an alpaca or an elephant or a panther, or even some of these sort of animals that don't even exist on this planet. So I knew it was coming from another star system. And they would come and communicate with me, and I would draw them. They would show me their sex, their color, often tell me what they wanted their names to be, and morph in and out of these other animals when they were communicating with me. And so often, well, actually every time they're born, they had these characteristics of these other animals in them as well,
yeah.
You know. And I just think this process of being born with these totems or connection to other animals isn't just reserved for us. The animals are having these support with other animals as well come through. And I think that I feel so privileged that I get to see that and experience that with the animals.
Well, I'll actually add to what I said too, is that ultimately you're trying to be reborn as a human, but you might come back as many different animals before that happens, you know. And sometimes those animals don't get eaten by a pregnant woman. Most cases they don't, you know. So they got to be reborn and reborn and reborn into other things until that eventually happens, you know. So these cows that are being mass-produced, chickens and the rest of it, you know, they could be housed in one of these animals, you know.
Yeah.
The spirit, what would have been people, you know, in a previous life. And so from a spiritual perspective, and by the way, on top of that, if they come into a farmed animal, right, there's people reborn as a farmed animal, their chances of being reborn as a human is even higher, you know. So if you could choose to be born into something, and you want to be reborn as a human, and you know this in the afterlife, you'd probably choose a chicken or a cow, you know, something where you know they're only got a short life, they're going to be, it's not going to be the best life, but chances of being consumed by a human being is very high, you know, so they can be reborn and then come back and spread the message that they need to spread, and also have another go at life, to get it right in this next life, you know. But once you're born, the day you're born, as soon as you know, this child, so you're born with all that knowledge, but you don't end up retaining it all, and then you get a clean slate. But you've got to have experiences in your life that bring about all that knowledge, bring it back, and that's where you get more attuned to a certain thing, you know, like you know, some people are really good at specific things, better than others, you know, like so it could be like they might have been a scientist in their past life, or they might have been a builder or something or other, and so those skills shine through a bit more naturally. That's what they're attuned to. Me, I'm different. I'm good at anything I want to be good at. So it means I've been around a long time. I've been born and reborn again and again and again and again, throughout the millennia. So I've picked up many things, many skills, and so today, anything I want to be able to do, and if I want to learn it, it comes to me really easy. So I was telling Madeleine before that this is probably my last physical experience on this plane of existence, and that when I pass, I'll be gone, and that'll be it. I'm gone with the Marga, and this is my last trip, basically. Yeah, because I'm now at the stage where I've got to impart knowledge onto others, and I've got to impart this ancient knowledge passed down through my people now, you know, and yeah, because this knowledge is directly from the Marga themselves, going back a long way. But I can't just teach it the same way my people have taught it in the past, because there are many other people out there with different circumstances, different knowledge. So I teach it in a way that people can understand, you know. I'm still teaching you the same knowledge, but I put it in a way that you can pick it up. I'm a good interpreter, you might say. But I think I had to go through many lifetimes to be able to become that person today.
Yeah. Well,
and
I'm so grateful for all of the stuff you're sharing with us here, and it's really amazing. Is there anything else, Madeleine, you want to ask Clint? And
I just will make a comment just on in terms of reincarnation and the information through consuming animals. I remember it was a while ago, like 2 years ago, and it popped up recently again. Spirit told me that when whales were actually intentionally beaching themselves because they hold this ancient knowledge that's been there since the Marga, since the creation beings, and so they come through at certain times, so that those that ate upon it would absorb the information and have that wisdom, so that then they could live in that way or express that energy in that way. And although there's a bit of knowledge around here lost around whales, Clint was actually able to confirm what had come through to me, and so that came through to me a while ago, and then I recently asked Clint about it, and it's one of those things where, you know, that beautiful ecosystem where we are actually all connected in this beautiful way. And it's funny that, you know, veganism has taken such a huge it's just kind of taken off, because there is that element of it that's really beautiful, where we're honouring life and we're honouring what we eat, and we're thinking about the energy that we have within us. But I think the next step is, you know, looking at the energy of what some animals are actually wanting to gift us to then share and to hold. But Clint can probably share a little bit more about it. That was a message from Spirit, and then
Yeah. So whales, we have a sacred site. We got a Darlu site for the whale, and people, the elders from the past, they used to work this Darlu site. They'd go there, activate it. By activating the Darlu, it would make the whales beach themselves, right? So they would only do that if they were given a message, basically from above, to do that. You know, they wouldn't. Otherwise, if you kept doing that, there'd be no more whales. You know. So when a whale beaches itself, we have to end its life. We're going to end its misery because it's sacrificing itself. And when we then take that meat, that basically the energy that it's giving us, and when we consume it, we take it into us. You know. Now, a whale is an incredibly spiritual being itself. And so whoever happens to inherit that whale's soul from the consumption of it, you know, when it goes inside that pregnant woman, or it might even go into multiple, you know, women, because of how big and powerful it is, then you get all these really wise people that come about because of it, you know, but sharing really important knowledge. So we're not supposed to hunt whale. That is not what people are meant to do. Whales will only meant to eat it when they sacrifice themselves to us, and that's why they beach themselves. So a lot of people don't understand. Oh, you know, are they beaching themselves because they're sick and this and that? And I suppose more and more these days they are getting sick from the ocean because people are polluting the seas, you know. But they've been beaching themselves for thousands and thousands of years, and they beach themselves because they need us to consume them, because we're not meant to hunt them, see? But they need to be eaten, I suppose, in that sense, going back to what I said earlier, so that they can be absorbed into the people, and then you get these wise people that come from out of that whale sacrificing its life. And it's exactly the same with the echidna. In my culture, how I'm taught by my people of today is that we're not allowed to go out and kill echidna. And it's very easy to kill an echidna, right? Anybody could do it. But what we have to do is we must ask the echidna first to give up its life. So we got to talk to it, and we have to talk to it in the language of the place that it's from. So if it's on Ralluma country, you're going to talk in Ralluma language. If it's on Injimani country, you're going to talk in Injimani language. Can't talk in that any other language unless it's from that area where that animal is from. Now, if you talk to it and you say to it, you'd say to it, as the English interpretation is, you know, I want to look at your chest so I can see your scars. And once you show me your scars, you must now give up your life so that I can consume you and share you with my family so that we can take your spiritual energy. That's what you got to tell it, but in Aboriginal. Now, if it's convinced that your intention is good and that's exactly what you're wanting to do, it will roll over onto its back, open up its chest, like its arms will spread out, and then basically telling you, you can take my life. Now, if you get to that point, you have to kill it, not with anything other than a quartz stone. Why quartz? Quartz is very powerful, energetic, spiritual stone, right? We all know that. It can only be killed with quartz, nothing else. So if you want to receive that energy from that animal, you got to kill it with the right thing too. And after it's killed, you cut out the glands on its chest. Can't eat that. But also, and I got to go backwards a little bit now to tell the story. It's anybody who wants to kill that animal can't just be any average person. They've got to have scarring along here, along the chest, because the echidna has the glands on its chest that resemble the scarring. So that's the law of the echidna. So you got to get the scars to be able to kill it to eat it. So you cut all that out, gut it, go down to the river, make a fire, burn the quills off, dig a hole, wait for the fire to die down to coals, put some coals in the hole, put the echidna in there, cover it over, put the rest of the coals on top and cook it. Now, from the moment you kill it to the moment it's cooked, you're not allowed to drink any water. You're not allowed to consume water at all. That's your punishment for taking the life of a highly sacred animal, you know. So you've got to punish yourself in order to eat it, to consume it. So the person who does all this, that's their job. And if they've done all that and the way that it's meant to be done, and then they cut the animal up equally, and then they give the richest parts to the elders and the not so rich parts go to the kids. But after it's been consumed, the marga who are watching this the entire time, they'll look down and think, yep, you did the right thing. So when you die in the afterlife, this will be favored upon, you know. Yeah. So they watch everything we do, and that's why we got to do it a certain way, do it in a particular process. But that's the same thing like with the whale and everything else. Got to be done a specific way. We're consuming not just the animal, we're taking in their soul, their spirit, you know, as well. And it's all connected to the spiritual realm, everything we do. That's our thing. And I'll make a comment about the vegans. I think veganism today is super important. I think they've suddenly appeared because they have to try and help people understand that animals are sacred things, you know. But I think some of them are getting a little bit, like they are getting extreme. They're getting a little bit lost in it, and they can't be judgmental over others too about it. You know, because you got to have balance in life. Everything is all about balance, and I applaud the vegans for what they are trying to achieve, but don't do it in a negative way. You know, be positive about it, educate, help people understand why.
Yeah.
Don't force people to do things they don't want to do, because that's never worked. Throughout all of humanity, it has never worked. You know, when you force or try and indoctrinate people into a way, it doesn't work. It doesn't. It's not, you know, people then they look at you in a negative way and they associate it as part of a stigma, and then it takes away the message you're trying to achieve. So I'm not being critical of those people. I'm just trying to say that they got to do it not so harshly or rough, or you know, my understanding of languages, English language too, isn't the best, you know. So because I speak many languages.
You're doing a great job there, Clint, and I agree. Look, I think that the whole planet needs to clean up its act in how it treats animals, and the cruelty that is being experienced across the planet by our animal kingdom. And you know, we do really need to be mindful of these beautiful sentient beings that are coming here to assist in our growth, and that we're kind of partners here, all of us experiencing this world as these sentient beings. And there's nothing I ever want to see when it comes to cruelty to animals, but I also really honor the cycle of life and the ritual, and that there are many people out there from many different cultures that hold strong ritual around animals and their place and how they interact with them, and that there's not just one shoe that fits all. I think it's really the vegans are doing a really great job in bringing an awareness about factory animals, and you know, just the level of animals that are kept in cages for fur coats, and you know, soft toys for kids, and all of that sort of stuff. I think is abhorrent as well. And but I just think that we all just have to remain balanced and respectful of everyone and all cultures, and that we're all on a path in a different place. And can we all do better? Yeah, we can all do better to be responsible in the choices we make when it comes to food. But you know I've read a lot of studies as well about monocrops that, thousands and thousands of animals are killed just producing one monocrop because of all the possums and the natural, the insects, and the frogs, and there's like thousands and thousands of all sorts of animals and ecosystems that are destroyed, creating monocrops for soybean and other plant-based products. So it's like we can't win, like, 'cause I think we're all trying to do the right thing, and for me it's like, what's the most sustainable thing I can do that puts the least amount of stress on the planet? And I think that's just how I try and work it.
And what's the most sustainable way of living is wild harvesting, living off the land, taking things that grow naturally.
Yeah.
The way that my people have lived for thousands of years, and a lot of other indigenous peoples, and once upon a time everybody lived like that, and it was the most sustainable way of living, and it's proven to be. But the issue is we live in modern day. People want to eat. They've got to consume things that are grown in a farm, especially large numbers of people, And so we've got to look at how can we improve upon that to make it more sustainable and eco-friendly. So, yeah, I'm trying to go out and teach people how to live off the land as best I can. But I can only do it with so many people, We need to do that. We need to come up with a better way of farming and the rest of it. What has been working previously is no longer working today, So it's not a sustainable way. It's not going to work for the next 10,000 years or whatever it is. Talking about animals too, and you can see there's a beautiful coastline behind me. A lot of Aboriginal people, Indigenous, get what do you call it? Persecuted, I suppose, for eating turtles. Turtles have been something we've been eating for thousands of years. I eat turtles still today. I don't go hunting them anymore, but if some family go out and get turtle, then I'll eat it. And I don't hunt them because turtle is my late sister. That's a totem, so I can't kill them. I'm not allowed to. But if someone's already gone out, done it, and they offer me a bit of turtle meat, I'll eat some, I won't eat lots. But too often we've got, and I know where people are coming from. They're like, turtle numbers have declined significantly, and they're getting poisoned by pollution in the sea and so forth, and people want their numbers to recover. Don't take it out on the Indigenous people who have lived sustainably off this meat for generation upon generation. You're aiming your rifle at the wrong people. If anybody, we need to aim that rifle at the people who produce all the plastics, all that stuff, the straws, the water bottles, everything that ends up getting thrown in the sea. Because it's not the Indigenous people who are just, wiping out numbers of turtles. Because we know how to hunt them sustainably. We've been doing it forever. And that goes with any other animal, But for some reason we get picked on because of the turtle. And they're a beautiful creature, and they have a lot of significance to us from a spiritual point of view too. We have big songlines and sacred sites right down the road here from me. There's a beach, and it's got all these massive big boulders there, but the boulders from the Dreamtime are the eggs of the giant turtle that came from south of here, from the Robe River, your river, Maddie, when you lived, came from that way. It came up, it used to be a land turtle, went into the sea, it transformed into a sea turtle, and then it needed to, because it had changed and became another creature, it needed to make more numbers of itself. So it laid all these eggs along the coastline, and then the eggs would hatch and there would be more and more turtles, but some of the eggs stayed there, and so they turned into these big boulders that are located in some of the country around here. And then this turtle went up everywhere, spreading its kind across the world, swam, up along the coast to all these different places. But the turtle then became highly revered by my people from that ancient turtle. And so there's lots and lots of rock art, petroglyphs of turtles, which help to teach us to, like, if we're going to consume them, to help teach us to do it in a positive way, So never take a pregnant turtle, wait till after a specific time to go and hunt the turtle, after it's laid its eggs, to know the difference between male and female turtles, because most people don't know. So we learn all this sort of stuff, and it helps us understand how to hunt them sustainably. And we know that we can only take so many. And within my own people, and I think this is where this environmentalists are getting angry with Indigenous, because there are some Indigenous people who have forgotten the old ways. They like the taste of this particular animal, and they get greedy, and they go out and they consume too many, and they take them at the wrong time, And like I said, they're going to get punished in this life for all the things that they do, so something will happen to them eventually. But we don't want people to get punished. We want everybody to know and understand the right way of doing things. So I go out and I tell people, Indigenous included, and I say, hey, I notice you've been going out catching too many of this particular animal, turtle in this case. Sometimes they go get dugongs. And then I say, you need to slow down, because if I'm noticing, other people are noticing that you're going out and you're hunting too many things. And for starters, some of them might not even be from this particular area. They might not be a traditional owner. They might be from other parts of Australia, So we tell them, you can go out and hunt a turtle, but remember, you're not on your own traditional lands too. So if you go out and you do the wrong thing, the old people, the ancestors, spirits, they're going to punish them, And what happened one time, there were these guys out here, and they're from the Kimberley, and they had a boat full of turtles that they'd caught live, And they were out, they had about 4 or 5 of them. You're only supposed to take one, maybe 2 max, They had about 4 or 5 of them, and they were coming back towards the shore, and then they'd take the turtles, Their intention was to take the turtles and slaughter them, cook them up, whatever. But as they were coming around the coast, their boat started sinking. Water was, I don't know what happened, but yeah, water started coming into their boat, and eventually their boat had sunk, and they were out in the middle of the ocean, and all the turtles ended up swimming away, and these silly blokes were all stranded in the water, and they rangers from here had to go and help them out. And then they asked them what happened, and they said, oh, we went out hunting for turtles. And then the ranger said, hey, you might not supposed to be hunting turtles, here. Did you go and ask the elders for permission and this and that, so on and so forth? And nah. And they said, how'd your boat sink? They said, we don't even know. It just started filling up with water and it ended up sinking. And then they turned around, well, that's the old people punishing you. That's the ancestors punishing you because you're going out doing the wrong thing. So bye-bye boat, and hopefully they learned their lesson. But yeah, so things do happen in this lifetime, but sometimes it takes a while for that to actually kick in, yeah, but I thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, I love it. The ancestors always watching. I can feel them.
Yeah. Sorry, I was muted then, but I was going to say sometimes karma is quick and sometimes it takes a bit, right? So there's kind of instant karma there. Well, it's been such a delight. We've been going on for like ages here, and it's wow, 2 hours and 44. I have to make it into 2 parts, like nearly 3 hours. I'll put it up in 2 parts. It's been such a great talk. So many things that we've covered, and I've just loved it, Clint. And you're just so knowledgeable in so many areas, and I think people are craving this information now. And so would you come back on again if we've got other things to talk about?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I really think that people are really craving to know more. And you know, I know you've helped Madeleine a lot in when she was going through all of her spiritual sort of dark night of the soul, and I've experienced that. So maybe that can be another talk that we can do.
Yeah.
You know, about, because a lot of people, when they go through that initiation of the dark spirits, it's quite scary, and when the beings start coming and visiting, and maybe we can talk about what that is and our experiences with that.
Yeah, that'll be good. And that one I think is very important, because yeah, when people first come into that situation, it's very overwhelming, you know, and they don't know what to do, and they you know, think they're going insane and this sort of stuff. And all we want to do is help them and say, look, you're not going crazy, you're just going through an experience, and we can help you get through it. Yeah,
I agree. Well, absolutely awesome. I really have enjoyed all of you coming on, and we'll make a time to catch up again and help people get through some of that sort of stuff. So yeah, have a wonderful day. I'm so envious of where you're living, Clint. Oh my God, I'm looking at that background and I'm like in winter in Victoria, and like so like I just want to be there. So awesome stuff, guys, and I'm just really awesome. So thank you so much, and we'll catch up again soon.
no worries. Thanks for inviting me in.
No worries, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Madeleine.
Thank you so much.